The Packers get a pleasant surprise, and it comes from one of their players in a very unusual way. I love it. It's a call to Brian Gutekunst to get better this offseason, and it's also a call to the wide receiving room in Green Bay to get better. I love it. If you haven't heard it, it came out of the mouth of Josh Jacobs in a couple of different times that we're going to play here in this clip for you. So if you haven't heard it, leave your comments. Let me know your thoughts. I'm going to let you know my thoughts, but here's what he said.
We need another DN. Okay. I think we need another DB, and then I think we need a wide receiver, a real wide receiver.
Miles Garrett will be here later.
Yeah. Like I love the guys that we have in the receiver room. They all have potential to be one, right. But we need a guy that's proven to be one.
Right. Command some double.
Do you think we need to add a piece? Like I'm thinking
I think we need like 3.
I don't know if you know this, Josh.
Yeah.
For that play, like I'm like the front office. You know that, right? I brought you Xavier McKinney. I have Devontae Adams on my show every week because, your former teammate.
Yeah.
Would you welcome a return of Devontae Adams to Green Bay?
Most definitely. I think he's an amazing receiver, amazing person. Obviously, I would want to see what it will cost us. But I do think that, we have a spot for him. For sure.
You have a spot. What would he bring to that?
Then obviously, we got a really young group of receivers. All can be really, really, really special. But I think personally, we need a guy that's proven to be a number 1 already.
Love it. I absolutely loved what he had to say. And there's some Packer wide receivers that didn't love what he had to say. Of course, they took to social media, and Dontavian Wicks did a thumbs down. Jaden Reed kind of fired back. But if you think about it, it's like, man, why are you firing back? Because he's got a ton of clout behind that statement, because the Green Bay Packers, they had the 3rd most drops in the NFL. Okay, so this was week 15, and the NFL teams with the most drop passes in the league. And of course, you've got Jordan Love up there. Not a good sign if you were a Packer wide receiver, that when you have an article of the NFL's most drop passes in the season, you've got a picture of Jordan Love right there. And the wide receivers really not doing Jordan Love any favors this season by catching the ball. And it says right here in this article that the Packers are currently 5th on that list, but they ended up actually with 33 drop passes on the season, which was the 3rd most behind Cleveland and the New York Jets. The drop rate was 5.5%. It actually increased, and I think it ended up increasing to 6.2%. In fact, right here in this article, it's actually 6.2. So 6.2% drop rate, which was the highest drop rate in the entire NFL. Okay, so when it comes to what Josh Jacobs had to say, I really want you guys to leave your comments. I thought what Josh Jacobs had to say was absolutely a no-brainer, okay? It's a call to Brian Gutekunst, like, hey, we need that D end. We need that D end that's going to be super good, opposite of Rashawn Gary, somebody that's proven, somebody that's going to go out there and make some noise. We need a proven number 1 wide receiver, because Christian Watson, his health is such a concern to that wide receiving room. You can't rely on his health to be a reliable guy out there for Matt LaFleur's offense and Jordan Love. And then you've got Romeo Doubs getting suspended, and then he had, some mental health issues throughout the season. And then he ended up having, a couple of concussions, and that cost them considerably this season. So when you've got an unreliable guy that, quite frankly, just dismissed himself out there, that's not a number 1 wide receiver, in my opinion. And then you got Jaden Reed and his inconsistency. I love the dude. Josh Jacobs, what he had to say was brilliant, because he's like, hey, these guys are good. And some of these guys could step up to be the number 1, but they haven't yet. And we need that proven number 1, probably to take the little bit of the pressure off of Josh Jacobs, that he gets better and his window is going to start closing of, his shelf life in the NFL. Why not capitalize on an incredibly talented running back that you have in Josh Jacobs, and get that number 1 wide receiver there in Green Bay, somebody with a little bit more reliable hands. It's going to make only everybody else around him better. If it's me and I'm Jaden Reed, I'm not firing back. I'm taking that as, hey, listen, I'm going to have to go out there and prove myself this offseason. I'm going to really work on my hands this offseason. Same thing with Dontavian Wicks, especially with Dontavian Wicks. And then you've got Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson, guys that can get better, right? But Christian Watson, we already know we're going to be half the season without him anyways. And so it's going to take a while for that guy to come back and get back healthy. But 33 drop passes on the season really just isn't going to cut it. Let's take a look at the depth chart for the Green Bay Packers wide receiving room. You have Dontavian Wicks. Again, we've already talked about the inconsistencies. He went down from his rookie season. His rookie season was better than his sophomore season. So he had a major sophomore slump. And then you've got Romeo Doubs that we already addressed, and kind of the off-season or off-field type issues that the Packers had to deal with this off-season. And then you've got the Christian Watson injuries that keep reoccurring, year after year. I love the guy. I think he's got a ton of potential. He just, the Packers need him healthy and they need him out there. And then you've got Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed is such a good slot receiver in the NFL. He's one of the best slot receivers, in my opinion, in the NFL. But he dropped a lot of passes this season. You've got Bo Melton. You've got Malik Heath. Bo Melton was brilliant on special teams. Anytime that there was a tackle on special teams, Bo Melton was one of the first guys down there. Malik Heath has the potential to be good, but they need that number one. Okay, they can't keep playing games with has the potential type quotations around some of these guys. The Packers need to go out and get that proven number one guy to help support Josh Jacobs and the Packers offense. It's only going to make everybody else around them better. I want you guys to leave your comments and let me know your thoughts. I thought what Josh Jacobs had to say is not controversial. I thought it was absolutely a call to Brian Gutekunst to get better this offseason through free agency especially, and then a call to the wide receiving room in Green Bay to get better, to work on their hands, etc. Leave your comments, and as always, go Pack Go.